That great Kabbalistical association known in Europe under the name of Masonry appeared suddenly in the world when revolt against the Church had just succeeded in dismembering Christian unity. The historians of the order are one and all in a difficulty when seeking to explain its origin. According to some, it derived from a certain guild of Masons who were incorporated for the construction of the Cathedral of Strasbourg. Others refer its foundation to Cromwell, without pausing to consider whether the rites of English Masonry in the days of the Protector were not more probably developed as a counterblast to this leader of puritanical anarchy. In fine, some are so ignorant that they attribute to the Jesuits the maintenance and direction, if not indeed the invention, of a society long preserved in secret and always wrapped in mystery. Setting aside this last view, which refutes itself, we can reconcile the others by admitting that the Masonic Brethren borrowed their name and some emblems of their art from the builders of Strasbourg Cathedral, and that their first public manifestation took place in England, owing to radical institutions and in spite of Cromwell's despotism. It may be added that the Templars were their models, the Rosicrucians their immediate progenitors, and the Johannite sectarians their more remote ancestors. Their doctrine is that of Zoroaster and of Hermes, their law is progressive initiation, their principle is equality, regulated by the hierarchy and universal fraternity. They are successors of the school of Alexandria, as of all antique initiations, custodians of the secrets of the Apocalypse and the Zohar. Truth is the object of their worship, and they represent truth as light. They tolerate all forms of faith, profess one philosophy, seek truth only, teach reality, and their plan is to lead all human intelligence by gradual steps into the domain of reason. The allegorical end of Freemasonry is the rebuilding of Solomon's Temple. The real end is the restoration of social unity by an alliance between reason and faith and by reverting to the principle of the hierarchy, based on science and virtue, the path of initiation and its ordeals serving as steps of ascent. Nothing, it will be seen, is more beautiful, nothing greater than are such ideas and dedications. Unhappily, the doctrines of unity and submission to the hierarchy have not been maintained in universal Masonry. In addition to that which was orthodox, there arose a dissident Masonry, and all that is worst in the calamities of the French Revolution were the result of this schism. Now, the Freemasons have their sacred legend, which is that of Hiram, completed by another concerning Cyrus and Zerubbabel. The legend of Hiram is as follows. When Solomon projected his temple, he entrusted the plans to an architect called Hiram. This master builder, to ensure order in the work, divided the craftsmen according to their degrees of skill. They were a great multitude, and in order to recognize craftsmen, so that they might be classified according to merit or remunerated in proportion to their work, he provided passwords and particular signs for each of three categories, or otherwise for the apprentices, the companions and the masters. It came about that three companions coveted the rank of master without having earned it by their ability. They set an ambush at the three chief gates of the temple, and when Hiram was issuing from one of them, the first of these companions demanded the master word, threatening the architect with his rule. Hiram answered, "It is not thus that I received it." Thereupon the companion in his fury struck him with the iron tool and gave him the first wound. The builder fled to the second gate, where he met with the second companion, who made the same demand and received the same answer. On this occasion Hiram was struck with a square or, as others say, with a lever. At the third gate there stood the third assassin, who completed the work with a mallet. The three companions concealed the corpse under a heap of rubbish, planted on the improvised grave a branch of acacia, and then took flight like Cain after the murder of Abel. Solomon, however, finding that his architect did not return, sent 9 masters to seek him, when the branch of acacia revealed the corpse. They drew it from beneath the rubbish, and as it had laid long therein, they uttered in so doing a word signifying that the flesh was falling from the bones. The last offices were rendered duly to Hiram, and 27 masters were dispatched subsequently by Solomon in search of the murderers. The first of these was taken by surprise in a cavern. A lamp was burning near him, a stream flowed at his feet and a dagger lay for his defense beside him. The master who had been first to enter recognized the assassin, seized the weapon and stabbed him with the exclamation Nechem, a word signifying vengeance. The head was carried to Solomon, who shuddered at the sight and said to the avenger, "Unhappy being, did you not know that I reserved to myself the right of punishment?" Then all the masters fell on their knees before the king and entreated pardon for him whose zeal had carried him away. The second murderer was betrayed by one with whom he had found an asylum. He was concealed in a rock near to a burning bush. A rainbow shone above the rock, and a dog lay near him. Eluding the vigilance of the dog, the masters seized the criminal, bound and carried him to Jerusalem, where he perished in the utmost tortures. The third assassin was slain by a lion, and the beast had to be overcome before the body could be secured. Other versions say that he defended himself with a hatchet when the masters fell upon him, but they succeeded in disarming him and he was led to Solomon, who caused him to expiate his crime. Such is the first legend, and its explanation now follows. Solomon personifies supreme science and wisdom. The temple is the realization and emblem of the hierarchic reign of truth and reason on earth. Hiram is the man who, by science and wisdom, has attained empire. He governs by justice and order, rendering to each according to his works. Each degree is in correspondence with a word, which expresses the sense thereof. For Hiram the word is one, but it is expressed after three manners. One is for the apprentices and can be uttered by them. It signifies nature and is explained by work. Another is for the companions. In their case it signifies thought and is explained by study. The third is for masters. In their mouth it signifies truth and is explained by wisdom. As to the word itself, it is used to designate God, whose true name is indicible and incommunicable. Thus there are 3 degrees in the hierarchy and 3 entrances of the temple. There are 3 modes of light and there are 3 forces in nature, which forces are symbolized by the rule that measures, the lever which lifts and the mallet which consolidates. The rebellion of brutal instincts against the hierarchic aristocracy of wisdom arms itself successfully with these 3 forces and turns them from their proper uses. There are 3 typical rebels: the rebel against nature, the rebel against science and the rebel against truth. They were represented in the classical Hades by the 3 heads of Cerberus, in the Bible by Corin, Dathan and Abiram, while in the Masonic legend they are distinguished by names which vary in the different rites. The first, who is usually called Abiram, or the murderer of Hiram, is he who strikes the Grand Master with the rule. This is the story of the just man immolated by human passion under the pretense of law. The second, named Mephibosheth, after a ridiculous and feeble pretender to the throne of David, attacks Hiram with the lever or the square. So does the popular square or lever of insensate equality become an instrument of tyranny in the hands of the multitude, and assails, still more grievously than the rule, the royalty of wisdom and virtue. The third in fine dispatches Hiram with a mallet. So act the brutal instincts when they seek to establish order, in the name of violence and of fear, by crushing intelligence. The branch of acacia over the tomb of Hiram is like the cross on our altars. It is a sign of knowledge which outlives knowledge itself. It is the green sprig which presages another spring. When men have disturbed in this manner the order of nature, Providence intervenes to restore it, as Solomon to avenge the death of the master builder. He who has struck with the rule shall perish by the poignard. He who has attacked with the lever or square shall make expiation under the axe of the law. It is the eternal judgment on regicides. He who has slain with the mallet shall be the victim of that power which he misused. He who would slay with the rule is betrayed by the very lamp which lights him and by the stream from which he drinks. It is the law of retaliation. He who would destroy with the lever is surprised when his watchfulness fails like a sleeping dog, and he is given up by his own accomplices, for anarchy is the mother of treason. He who struck with the mallet is devoured by the lion, which is a variant of the Sphinx of Oedipus, while he who can conquer the lion shall deserve to succeed Hiram. The decaying body of the builder indicates that forms may change but the spirit remains. The spring of water in the vicinity of the first murderer recalls that deluge which punished crimes against nature. The burning bush and rainbow which betray the second assassin typify life and light denouncing outrage on thought. Finally, the vanquished lion represents the triumph of mind over matter and the definite subjection of force to intelligence. From the dawn of the intellectual travail by which the Temple of Unity is erected, Hiram has been slain often, but ever he has risen from the dead. He is Adonis destroyed by the wild boar, Osiris put to death by Typhon, Pythagoras in his proscription, Orpheus torn to pieces by Bacchants, Moses abandoned in the caverns of Mount Nebo, Jesus crucified by Judas, Caiaphas and Pilate. Now those are true Masons who seek persistently to rebuild the temple in accordance with the plan of Hiram. Such is the great and the chief legend of Masonry. There are others that are no less beautiful and no less profound, but we do not feel justified in divulging their mysteries. Albeit we have received initiation only from God and our researches, We shall keep the secrets of transcendental Freemasonry as we keep our own secrets. Having attained by our efforts to a grade of knowledge which imposes silence, we regard ourselves as pledged by our convictions even more than by an oath. Science is a noblesse qui oblige, and we shall in no wise fail to deserve the princely crown of the Rosy Cross. We also believe in the resurrection of Hiram. The rites of Masonry are designed to transmit a memorial of the legends of initiation and to preserve them among the brethren. Now, if Masonry is thus holy and thus sublime, we may be asked how it came to be proscribed and condemned so often by the Church, but we have already replied to this question when its divisions and profanations were mentioned. Masonry as the Gnosis and the false Gnostics caused the condemnation of the true. The latter were driven into concealment, not through fear of the light, for the light is that which they desire, that which they seek and adore, but they stood in dread of the sacrilegious, that is to say, of false interpreters, calumniators, the derision of the skeptic, the enemies of all belief and all morality. Moreover, at the present day, there are many who think that they are Masons and yet do not know the meaning of their rites, having lost the key of the mysteries. They misconstrue even their symbolical pictures and those hieroglyphic signs which are emblazoned on the carpets of their lodges. These pictures and signs are the pages of a book of absolute and universal science. They can be read by means of the Kabbalistic keys and hold nothing in concealment for the initiate who already possesses those of Solomon. Masonry has not merely been profaned but has served as the veil and pretext of anarchic conspiracies depending from the secret influence of the vindicators of Jacques de Molay, and of those who continued the schismatic work of the Temple. In place of avenging the death of Hiram, they have avenged that of his assassins. The anarchists have resumed the rule, square and mallet, writing upon them the words liberty, equality, fraternity, liberty, that is to say, for all the lusts, equality and degradation and fraternity in the work of destruction. Such are the men whom the Church has condemned justly and will condemn forever.